summer, so we want to take a dive back into the past at one of the most classical films ever made. Yes, that's right. The 1997 classic film Titanic captured the hearts of movie fans, starring Jack and Rose, also known as Kate and Leo. At the time of this film's release, it was the most expensive movie ever made. Director James Cameron's initial dive to see the Titanic wreckage sparked the screenplay and the movie we all came to love. So if you would like to have a similar immersive Titanic experience this summer, well, you are in luck. There is an exhibit in Chicago called Titanic the Exhibition. Here's what people are saying about it.
What surprised me the most was how many artifacts are still here and available that are connected to the White Star Line. I would definitely recommend coming to this experience.
Come check it out for sure. You're going to learn so much. I promise you that.
Everything was so beautifully done. It looked very real.
And if that didn't convince you, our next guest will welcome the creative director, Mark Locke. Thank you so much for being here today.
So good to be here, Mary.
Okay, so before we get into all this excitement, they all have their gloves on. We're all ready to go for this history.
Yes.
You actually saw the wreckage yourself.
I did. Had an amazing opportunity and experience to get inside of one of those small submersibles, take the 2-hour and 15-minute journey to the bottom of the ocean. The lights came up when we were on the bottom, and there was the bow of the Titanic that we're all so familiar with. The Jack and Rose moment in the front bow. This was the real thing, of course.
Oh, my goodness.
So very exciting, something I'll never forget, but very emotional as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So now this exhibition, I imagine, has that excitement, but also that emotion too. And what you brought here are some things that people can perhaps find when they go.
Yes, this is the largest exhibition we've ever done, over 380 artifacts. These objects are very interesting in themselves. This, of course, is a teacup and saucer. Each class aboard the Titanic had its own china, but every piece of china said White Star Line rather than just Titanic, because that way it could be shared with Titanic's sister ships, the Olympic and the Britannic. But there was one set of china, this one, the Spode cobalt blue and gold, that was specifically for the Titanic. And the reason we have it, it was not from the ocean floor, but folks left from Southampton, went to Cherbourg, France, and then to Queenstown, Ireland, and then off to New York. But some people only booked from Southampton to Queenstown. Well, a first-class passenger said, you know, I'm going to remember this, took this cup and saucer with them, and it was in the family for years, and now it's in the exhibition.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Crazy,
so
right?
maybe taking things when you leave a hotel
well,
is
that's exactly what I thought of. You know, I'll take this towel and this towel.
Shampoo, the rose.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are we looking at over here?
Well, this is Leonard Taylor. Leonard Taylor was so excited. You know, he was a crew member aboard the Titanic. Of the 2,200 people aboard the Titanic, almost 900 were crew members. They were just as excited as the passengers to be aboard the largest moving vessel ever made by the hands of man. Well, Leonard sent this postcard to his mother, and this is Titanic, docked in Southampton. He was so excited. In fact, we can read a little bit about what he says, but he calls it my ship. And he says, he talks to his mother. He says, I've got safe and wonderful digs, meaning where he was staying. He was a Turkish bath attendant. They had a private, the first-class passengers had a private swimming pool, a gymnasium, and a Turkish bath. So excited, he was lost in the sinking at 19 years old. His body was never recovered.
Wow, my goodness. And I know the tour, a big part of it is you actually get to be a passenger.
Yes.
And hear some of these stories like this one,
That's
I imagine.
it. It's really all about the passengers, right? I mean, the exhibition is full of room recreations, and you see the grand staircase. You see a first-class cabin, a third-class cabin. But when you walk in, you get a boarding pass. And on that boarding pass is the name of a passenger. And I think we were talking earlier, I think people take it kind of as a souvenir to begin with, and they go, oh, look, mom's in first class and dad's in third class. But as you go through, you start to connect to that passenger. And at the end of the exhibition, there's a wall of all 2,200 names. those that were lost and saved, and people won't leave the exhibition till they find that name on the wall. And I'm not so sure it's just that passenger, but it also, this whole story speaks how fragile life can be and how uncertain. And I think people have that emotion standing there with their friends and their families.
And it helps people really understand what happened. I think, you know, we've all seen the movie. It's such a classic, you really do feel all those emotions when you watch the movie, but I think experiencing it in this way, you learn something completely different. It's a deeper experience.
Mary, that's perfect. That's exactly right.
Okay, so speaking of the staircase.
Yes, we're all familiar with the grand
Yes.
staircase. When Jack said, make it count, meet me at the clock,
Yes.
right? Speaking of Jack and Rose. Well, the White Star Line sent out ships days after Titanic sank to recover the bodies that were on the ocean surface. And it was a cable-laying ship called the Minia. And the head carpenter saw some of the debris on the ocean surface, and he picked up this larger piece of wood. It was later identified as part of the grand staircase. Wow. And he made a frame out of it. And Mary, you can touch that with your glove and show it to the camera there. He made a frame out of this piece. Exactly. Don't drop it. And kind of as a tribute to, his name was William Parker. He was the ship's carpenter. And as a tribute to those that were lost.
Well, it is just an incredible exhibition, just seeing a little bit of it here, but we're gonna have all that information right there on your screen. Again, it is summertime, so it really is the time to visit Chicago and pay a trip to this exhibition. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us today.
Thank you.